I'll mention one more, one of my favorites. He says, "Dhyan korbe mone bone okone." You should meditate, and listen to Nikhilananda's translation. To meditate, you should withdraw within yourself, or retire to a secluded corner, or to the forest. Now, one final note before I actually get to the passage I want to look at today is a note on translation, because I've been talking all along about what I've been calling the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, but that's not the original text, as you all know. So the original text is in the Bengali language, and it's Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita. And the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is Swami Nikhilanandaji's translation, English translation of the original Bengali text. And I personally feel that this translation is a masterpiece. Usually with translations, there's a trade-off between beauty and accuracy. So a translation can be extremely beautiful, but usually at the cost of accuracy. I can think of many examples, especially of the Bhagavad Gita. There's some wonderfully poetic renderings, translations of the Bhagavad Gita, which some of these very popular translations, the translator admits, I don't know Sanskrit. I'm not going to name names here, but there's one I'm thinking of in particular. So that's one way to go. Just make it as beautiful and poetic as possible, but at the expense of accuracy. On the other hand, there are wonderfully accurate translations of texts, but which feel clunky or dry, and that lack that element of beauty or poetic value. And what I think makes Nikhilanandaji's translation a masterpiece is that it really is both very beautiful, very elegant English, and at the same time extremely accurate overall. So that's I wanted to say that before I point out where I disagree with him. So they're just, this is a rough percentage, but I agree with them on maybe like 90 to 95% of translation choices, and I only differ respectfully on certain issues. But some of these issues are fairly important, and I hope that I can bring that out today to a certain extent as well. We'll find that there are certain places where I think that there are better translations of particular teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. The other thing that you miss if you don't study the Kathamrita in the original Bengali is Sri Ramakrishna's genius at wordplay. He was a master at wordplay. I have a separate lecture on this, so you can look at it if you're interested, Sri Ramakrishna's divine wordplay. But basically what I talk about is how when he gives spiritual teachings, he uses the full resources of the Bengali language. For instance, he loves rhyming, and especially rhyming very short Bengali words. So some of his most famous teachings, you all know, as many fades, so many paths. But the original Bangla is Joto Mot Toto Pot, which is a rhyming, right? And they're all monosyllables. Joto Mot Toto Pot. Well, Joto and Toto are 2 syllables, but short syllables. Yeah, there's so many of these kinds of, you can just multiply examples. Mon muk ek koro. Make your mind one with your heart in your speech. Sorry, make your mind one with your speech. Mon muk ek koro. Again, everything is monosyllabic, and it's a way of kind of etching the teachings into your mind. And it's full of parables also, parables, stories, just as Jesus taught very lofty spiritual teachings by means of parables. Anyway, I could go on, but that would be a different lecture. So I'll mention one more, one of my favorites. He says, "Dhyan korbe mone bone okone." You should meditate, and listen to Nikhilanandaji's translation. To meditate, you should withdraw within yourself, or retire to a secluded corner, or to the forest. So there's nothing wrong with the translation, but just compare it with "Dhyan korbe mone bone okone." Notice the rhyme. Mone means in the mind, so you should meditate mone in the mind, bone in the forest, kone in a corner of a room. All right. So enough prelude. So let's get to the passage. This is from, you all have the handout. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to start. So this is from 16th December, 1883. And I'm going to start from page 344 at the bottom of the page. In fact, another interesting thing is, in the original Bengali, there's a separate chapter heading starting with the second to last paragraph on the bottom of page 344. And here it's just continuous. It's a very long, continuous passage. But so I'm going to start with what's chapter 10 of the Bengali Kathamrita. Okay, so that basically it's Mr. Mukherjee and his friend left the room. So that's where I'm starting. I hope you can all see that. I'll read it and then I'll comment on some aspects of it. Mr. Mukherjee and his friend left the room. M thought, he's the author of the Gospel. According to the Vedanta, all is like a dream. Are all these, the ego, the universe, and the living beings, unreal then? M had studied a little of the Vedanta. He also had read the German philosophers such as Kant and Hegel, whose writings are only a faint echo of the Vedanta. But Sri Ramakrishna did not arrive at his conclusions by reasoning, as do ordinary scholars. It was the divine mother of the universe who revealed the truth to him. These were the thoughts that passed through M's mind. A little later, Sri Ramakrishna and M were conversing on the porch west of the master's room. No one else was there.